What's happening, horror files? Welcome back to another episode of Week in Horror, June 14th through June 20th. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm JL, and with me today is Eugene.
What's up, everybody?
And we want to give a huge splattery thank you to our new guest host, Johnny O from The Plot Hole, who joins us while Alex is on vacation.
And while not reading the script.
Perfect. You filled Alex's shoes perfectly.
Glad to be here.
It's so awesome. So let's take a moment. Normally we kind of look back at the week and like that, but there's not much going on except for a lot of craziness. But we're here to take you away from the craziness. So we're going to take a moment to get to know our guest host, Johnny. You and I have worked together before on a few things over on The Plot Hole. You've given me kind of an audience to do some debates and stuff there, but we really don't know much about The Plot Hole. How the fuck did that whole thing kick off?
Well, my usual host, Jeremy Flair, he and we started this thing 2016, I want to say. We started as a segment show, top 10 segment show on the Jay Stone show over on rockmetaltalk.com. Started out as a 10-minute show, and then we kind of just blew it up from there. Our very first top 10 was top 10 horror films because it was a Halloween show. That's just been a subject that he and I have, we're always debating amongst ourselves who's the better Freddy Krueger or this guy or that guy, what's the better film franchise. And it's just been a lot of fun doing that. So ever since then, it kind of just blew up, got bigger and bigger. And the Jay Stone said, "Hey, come, why don't you just do your own show? Stop being on my show." So here we are.
It is awesome. Love what you guys do over there.
Thank you.
And it's been really, really cool getting to go onto The Plot Hole on Friday nights and just kind of end my week the few times I have with just kind of either taking swings at people in debates or having good deep discussions or just shooting the shit, which is a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
So we have a lot of fun over there. All right. Well, that's pretty much it. Why don't we get this party fucking started? Eugene is going to kick us off this week. What delightful little film do we have first?
Oh, we have a very delicious film.
It's sweet.
Creamy.
A nice sweet treat. Released June 14th, 1985, a film called The Stuff, right? Stars Michael Moriarty, Andrea Markovich.
Dude,
and Garrett Morris, directed by Larry Cohen. And basically, in a nutshell,
don't forget, Paul Sorvino.
Yeah.
And Danny Aiello were in this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh yes. And it's about basically a private detective investigates a new consumer taste treat that is absolutely delicious, but possibly lethal. And then craziness ensues.
It's so fucking crazy. And what's awesome is that Cohen, because you mentioned the cast, and I got to give credit for this because he filled the cast with a ton of fucking names. Because not only did he have Danny Aiello, he had fucking Patrick O'Neill, he had Paul Sorvino, all of them legends in themselves. But he also had Anthony Perkins in this fucker. He had Jeffrey Combs, Abe Vigoda, Eric Bogosian, and fucking Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah. From
Grey's Anatomy fame. We're all in this movie in various levels. And Mira Sorvino.
Yeah, I was going to say Mira Sorvino was in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the story goes that she had been her father is Paul Sorvino. She had come to visit on set to visit her dad, and she was just thrown in as an extra.
Yep. That's how ragtag this production was.
I imagine this is a fun as fuck. Given Larry Cohen's original vision and what he was intending to do with the script, I imagine this was a seriously fun set to work on.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It had to be. And I mean, it was just, hey, you have stuff that just kills people. Like that was it. I got stuff that kills people. Let's make him film. Let's go.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Well, originally, I know Cohen was going for a more satirical film, that he was poking fun. It was supposed to be a comedy.
Yeah. So
originally.
yeah, this was supposed to be more of a horror comedy, kind of in the vein of. Jeez, golly, I can't. Little Shop of Horrors. So, yeah, I mean, the whole idea was supposed to be that we've got this sweet treat that's killing everybody. So obviously the satire of consumerism and the country, really the world's fucking need for sweet treats and shit. I mean, if you look at the mid 80s, that's kind of like when Snickers and all this shit just like really fucking blew up. Consumerism, just buy, and here's all the sweetness, and we're filling people up with candy and hot dogs, cotton candy.
You're right, because you have the stuff that we know it's bad for you.
Yes.
We do. We know it's bad, but we still eat it anyway.
Well, and yeah, that's the kind of that's the over the top satire there. That here we are, we don't give a shit that it's terrible for us. We're going to still eat it.
Well, they technically don't know that it's terrible for them in the film,
right?
Because because it's 0 calorie. It's almost 0 fat. It's got everything you need, and it tastes fucking great.
Well, see, but if you look at that, if you look at that and juxtapose it to what really happens with the food that we eat in this country, none of that really means anything. Just because it's 0 fat and this, that, and the other doesn't mean it's good for you. And a lot of people.
It also doesn't mean that it's like, the excrement of some giant monster.
No, that's exactly what sugar-free means.
And I fucking loved it. There's so many fantastic scenes. I love that. Obviously, the reliance on practical effects. It's gonna be a fucked up story just for that opening moment, because you get the guys working in the yard, and all of a sudden this white shit starts bubbling up out of the ground, and it's like, oh, and I'll taste it. It was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Exactly.
It was like, oh, it tastes good. It tastes sweet. It was like, oh, son of a bitch. But I love the practical effects that they worked with this, and you could tell that they had a lot of fun on this thing. But despite the fact that we could have had a really, really funny satirical horror film that takes jabs at fads and trends and just American consumerism and just the desire to be like pretty much FOMO before FOMO was a thing,
right? And
just the need to constantly have the one thing that everybody, the need for popularity in that whole concept. But the studio itself had a real problem with this.
Yeah,
because
I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, because Cohen didn't have final cut, and that really, really hurt the film in the end.
Yeah, so New World, that was a film company, New World Pictures Company. They didn't like the fact that it was slow and funny. They wanted a more straight up, in your face horror film, which I don't know how the fuck they could have ever expected to get a in-your-face horror film with a movie called The Stuff about a sweet treat that bubbles up from the ground and kills people. I mean, this is
I love the description. I love the description because we keep saying it kills people, but what was it? That it fills them up and then consumes them from the inside, leaving them a shell of their former selves.
Right. Exactly. More satire.
That is so fucking brilliantly written.
Yes.
I fucking love that because the applicability across the board is fantastic.
Exactly. I don't see. That's just what kills me about this whole thing is that this movie could have been so much better. I mean, not that it was terrible. It's a good, fun film. Could have been so much better had they let the satire flow, so to speak.
Exactly. It is when you hire a director, you got to trust the director.
Yes.
You hire the director for their vision and how they want to tell the story. Like, I've never understood why studios will go, okay, we want you to direct it, but we don't trust you. Well, then get another fucking director.
Yeah. Yeah.
That just straight up, because I mean, the movie, it's fun, and you have, people explode and all this other kind of stuff, but it could have been better.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that whole fucking scene when what's the character's name? Chocolate Chip.
Oh,
Chocolate Chip Charlie.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
When he's in the sound booth and his head's flipping like
When the girl grabbing by the shoulders and it's like, foaming out.
That shit is fucking great.
I mean, it had a little bit of an invasion of the body snatchers kind of under theme there too.
It was there were some creepier moments.
Yeah, and that's
for a while especially when the kid's in the house and the kid refuses to eat it and his family is all trying to to get him to do it. He's like, no,
right,
because it's taking over his family.
And that's a trope you see repeated just throughout, and in many different genres. Like fucking Star Trek: The Next Generation used that exact same trope with the episode The Game.
Yes, the
with the little fly the little things in the holes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there was a lot of amazing stuff in this film that they just kind of buried because they wanted to make it a straight horror film. And I don't know, but for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, whenever you mix in a good amount of levity in with your horror, it makes the horror that much better.
Oh, absolutely. Because as long as you find that necessary balance between the two, and then you don't get so overwrought, and then you allow people to kind of laugh through the tighter moments because you have comedic areas to fall back on. And it reminds me, this one, as much as I love this stuff, and I love Michael Moriarty. I loved him in this. I loved him in fucking Troll. He was great. Because his name was Harry Potter in the Troll.
Yeah.
In Troll, which is, I could go on for hours about that little fucking, that conspiracy. But it reminds me very much of Joe Lynch's Knights of Badassdom, which is pretty much the same kind of thing that happened to this film has happened to that film. I was big time looking forward to Knights of Badassdom. LARP players all of a sudden facing off against a real demon. It was supposed to be good. Kurt Russell saw the final cut before the film release and said that it was. Kurt Russell said it was better than Ghostbusters. That's what he saw.
Wow.
The movie that released was fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
It was still good. You still had Peter Dinklage. You had Ryan Quanten. You had Jimmy Simpson, Summer Glau. You had lots of really good actors, a lot of talent, decent effects. But E1 Entertainment literally hack and slash the film to basically cater to the lowest common denominator and severely hurt it. And if you watch the trailer, you'll see stuff in the trailer that was not in the movie. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So apparently it was supposed to be longer. It was gorier. It was more violent. There was more depth to the characters. Nobody was so one note. But that's what happens when the studio takes that power from you. And there is apparently a Joe Lynch cut out there somewhere of Knights of Badassdom. I hope to see it one day.
I'm sure it'll surface.
But we see that shit. Fucking studios called for pass interference when the director delivers in a particular vision, and it's either money or either they don't have faith, but most likely they're just siding with the money.
Yeah, I mean, I've always understood the business side of it. They want to make sure that it's going to sell, but you let the director, you let the cast, you let the story sell the movie.
You do. You have to trust, because the thing with studio execs is that they're businessmen. They're not filmmakers,
right? And
so all they look is like dollar signs, except they don't dive into what makes a movie better than another movie. In terms of an artistic standpoint, why does this movie sell and this movie didn't? They're just looking at dollar signs,
right?
And so they want to go, for example, Alien versus Predator.
Oh, Jesus.
The first cut of the film was 2 hours, and they're like, "Well, we want a 90-minute runtime because we can get more screenings in during the day."
Yeah,
and so the director was like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, you need to cut 30 minutes out of your film.
Yeah.
Oh,
30, and this is final cut, locked, and then cut 30 minutes on top of that.
And that's the reason why that film seems so disjointed.
And that was exactly it, because in an interview afterwards, they're like, well, we noticed that the face huggers latch on to the people, and then like the next scene, you have full-grown aliens. And he was like, well, in my version of it, you actually see the aliens grow up in size.
Yeah.
Silly. Yeah, it's kind of what was another one, the Warcraft film, because I'm a huge our listeners know I'm a giant World of Warcraft player.
Wasn't that who was that?
I've been a fan.
U-Bowl or something? Who did that one? Who did the Warcraft one?
No, not the UA Bowl one. The
okay.
Name of the King. Not that one.
No. That was director of Moon and Mute. Duncan Jones. That was director Duncan Jones handled that. But the movie that we got, I really enjoyed. I enjoyed the movie in like super IMAX 3D extravaganza explosion.
Right.
It looked really fucking amazing. It was fantastic. I got to see World of Warcraft on the screen. I saw it in the super ultra IMAX thing. I saw it in 3D, and then I saw it in standard form because I brought friends to go see the movie. So I actually saw it 3 times in theaters. And
nerd.
It was. And the day it released on DVD on Blu-ray, I bought it then too. So, but the biggest problem there was that what Duncan Jones said is that you could see his vision was brilliant in making the movie, but he said it was death from 1,000 cuts. It was like everybody had their little fucking egos and their little fucking inputs. Everybody, there were people from Blizzard, there were people from Legendary, there were people, from all over the place that just nickel and dimed the production to the point where Duncan was just like, God, fuck it, just get the goddamn thing done.
Right.
And it shows, unfortunately, because apparently what he originally had in mind was much, much, much better. But that happens on occasion. It reminds me of a joke. One of my favorite jokes when I was in film school. So there's a director, a writer, and a producer all stuck in the desert. They've been wandering for days. And they think they're going to die. They're out of water. They're out of food. Their clothes are tattered. They're just burnt by the sun. And just as they cross over there's one last dune, they spot an oasis. And the director and the writer they freak out and they rush down the dune. And they run to the oasis and they jump in and it's there. There's water there. They're drinking the water. They're splashing around. They're thanking their lucky stars that they're saved. It's like, oh, thank God. And they look around and they don't see the producer anywhere. But after a few minutes, they discover him, and he's pissing in the oasis. And the director and the writer are like, what the fuck are you doing? And the producer's like, making it better.
Yeah, that is.
That must have been Steven Spielberg.
That is it.
A shorter version of that one is a director and a producer are walking down Hollywood Boulevard, and they're discussing their latest project. And right as they're in the middle of their conversation, this incredible woman just splits right between them, just walking the way. Doesn't pay him. She knows she rules the world. Okay, she is just legs for days, absolutely stunning, gorgeous, total bombshell. And both of them stop and turn and go, oh. And the producer's like, God damn, I would like to fuck her. And the director's like, out of what?
Yep.
That's true. Trust studio execs out there, producers, trust your director. Because also,
or don't hire them.
If the movie does suck, the producer go, well, I trust the director. I was hands off the entire time.
This is the reason big budget films have insurance.
Yes.
If you legitimately think that people are going to put $100 million down with no goddamn insurance, you're out of your mind.
Yeah. Yeah, people talk about well, this movie lost Paramount all this money. No, the fuck it didn't. Paramount didn't lose a goddamn penny on any one of them movies. Not a single fucking penny.
The only thing it hurts them in the long run is that the people who generate the scripts and the people who want to do the productions may not go to Paramount in the future.
Right.
Yeah,
because Warner Brothers is really doing innovative things over here, and they've had like 6-7 successes. I think I'll go to Warner Brothers, or I'll go to Universal, or maybe I'll just go independent. Because Paramount, there seems to be a lot of mismanagement and a lot of lack of focus up there. Up there in the offices. I really don't want to deal with that shit. That's what that turns into.
So for sure, but one bad film, even 10 bad films out of a studio doesn't break them.
This is true.
Oh yeah, this is absolutely. But I like Blumhouse and A24 approach now, whereas instead of financing $100 million film, let's finance $10 million films.
Yeah.
And if six of them turn a profit, then you've already made all your money back plus some.
Yep.
that was a big thing about Jason Blum is that the projects he put together when they first started out, the smaller straight horror movies they're putting together, is that I've read in interviews that above all he trusted his people to produce these things. He didn't stick his nose in there. He didn't try to make it better. The people that he hired, he implicitly trusted, and through that implicit trust, he was able to build Blumhouse into the empire that it is today, and it's still growing.
That's the thing. If you do your due diligence as a producer or as a film studio, and you properly vet, hey, look, I know this guy. I like I like his storytelling. Okay, cool. Then let him tell the story. I will, because I've done my research on him. I know what he's going to do.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about that shit.
You don't.
You don't run into situations where you are unsure if your movie is a fucking horror or a comedy.
Or both.
Or both. Or exactly. And I know we've been talking about studio involvement here and there, and coming back to the stuff, how the studio wanted the horror film and you wanted to add some satire in it. I want to ask the audience, let us know, do you think this movie is an actual straight horror movie, or is it a comedy, or maybe it's a combination of the both? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah. I guess that means that we're going to be moving on to the next film.
Yeah, actually, this one doesn't deal with quite as much of the fun stuff.
But there are creamy centers to this next film.
Oh God!
Yeah. Okay, Johnny. All right, go. What's our next film?
All right, our next film came out June 17th, 1975. It was about mutating flying cockroaches. Mimic. No, I'm kidding. It's Bug.
Speaking of Mira Sorvino.
Yeah, there we are, bringing it back.
It's what you did there.
No, it's Bug, the 1975 American horror film. Yeah. Let's see here. It was directed by some Schwark. We're gonna call him Jano Schwark. I think that's Swedish. I can't really tell.
I find all the best.
You do. Look at this. Starring Bradford Dillon, Joanne Miles, Alan Fudge. Yeah. Let's see here. Plot summary. Man, this movie is about bugs. It's all right. So we have an earthquake. Releases a bunch of mutant cockroaches. And the funniest part about it is they can create fire by rubbing their cerci together. Now, people who don't know what cerci are, you'll have to look that up, because this is not a science show. This is a horror show. But
just know the cockroaches can rub shit together and make fire.
Yep, that's the important part.
What was it when he was running the field, or they're in that field? You see like a fire start going off, like from the bushes.
It's always cockroaches. Cockroaches fuck everything up. Most of the bugs die because they can't survive in the low air pressure on Earth, but some stupid ass scientist, as scientists do, that would be Dillman. He grabs a couple of them and then breeds them with a modern cockroach. And now, because of this idiot, we have the New York cockroach. I'm sorry, a intelligent flying super cockroach, also known as a modern warfare cockroach.
Fucking yeah. I love the film for a number of reasons. Okay, number one, there's classic cool horror.
Yes.
1975. They're not shooting for the moon on this one. We're going to make a horror movie, and it's going to be about bugs, because bugs creep people the fuck out, especially cockroaches.
Yes.
And if you give the cockroaches superpowers, that makes it even better.
Yes.
So I love that. I love films like this for their simplicity. That it may be formulaic. Some people may think it may feel formulaic, and it kind of is. It
not at the time. Not in the 70s. It wasn't formulaic.
Well, I mean, you have your first act, second act, third act.
Well, sure.
And then you have there's no major plot threads that go in different directions. There's no ambiguity.
Sure.
It's legit.
It is straightforward.
Bad guy does something, chaos ensues. hero saves the day. I love the simplicity of films like this because it denotes a very, very good vision, and this is how you make movies. This is legit how you make movies. And then you select that one beautiful thing that makes people afraid. Very similar to like the Blob or the thing, the Thing or It or something like this. You find something that preys upon the natural
fundamental fear.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love the creeping terror of insects.
Yes.
Because while insects are insects, and many people can just, oh, they're insects, whatever like this. But there are particular like spiders, like Arachnophobia, or Kingdom of the Spiders, with great William Shatner film, or the or like this Bug, where it's like it's fucking cockroaches, or everybody loved that scene in Creepshow, in the third act in Creepshow,
yes,
when all the fucking cockroaches come out of the dude and they make for fantastic horror villain. God, the fuckers are crawling all over that girl's face, and I was like, God damn.
Yeah,
I'd be flipping out. I can handle a lot of shit, but cockroaches are KOS for me.
Really?
So, oh yes.
I pick them up and throw them outside. I don't care.
Oh,
I can't do roaches. The scene where they fly through the glass. Right? I was like, nope.
I'm gonna have them remake that film in 3D just for you, Eugene.
And you know that Cameron stole that shit when he was doing Piranha 2.
Of course.
Instead of cockroaches, let's make them fucking piranha.
Yeah.
The piranha mate with flying fish. Now the piranha can fly.
Oh Jesus!
I saw so many hallmarks to this one, but I love doing that. The thing that icks people, and then just making it really fucking gnarly.
Oh yeah,
very, very simple stuff. And hats off to all the actors in that for dealing with that shit.
Yeah, because they used a shit ton of real live cockroaches.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, where he's like, oh, she's reaching for the door handle, cockroach like falls, like as somebody drops it, and the actors have to let it crawl on them, and they're interacting with it, and it plays on people's like natural fears, because I hate cockroaches. I do. If a cockroach is flying at me, I will shoot at it with a gun. Like, just straight up. I don't care if there's a hole in the wall afterwards.
Stand your ground, motherfucker.
All right. So, quick side note, JL, when the Ohio thing happens, Eugene has to stay in the car.
I see something. Boom, boom.
I hope you guys wanted a hole there.
Whoops, my bad.
It's only gonna be bad if we open up that door. If we open up that door that Cassie doesn't want to open in that old house, and they just fucking flood out of there.
Oh, you know that's gonna happen, right? You know there are gonna be some creepy crawlers.
We have to get a camera for that. We have to set up the camera just in case. So in the film, it will just in the middle of the film, cut to, and people be like, "Who are these guys? Why are they opening this? Oh my god!" And then you never see us again the rest of the film.
There's our found footage portion. By the way, this was based on the Hephaestus Plague, 1973 novel by Thomas Page. Little fun fact for you.
I didn't know that.
Also, they this film reused sets from the Brady Bunch. The whole kitchen scene, that kitchen was they just did a repaint job. But that kitchen was the Brady Bunch kitchen, and they moved some stuff around in the living room. But yeah, those are the same sets they used for the sitcom.
Oh man, here's a story of a lovely cockroach.
Of a lovely roach.
All right, so
but I like playing on natural fears. Films like this, I know.
I just don't know if it's a natural fear, though. I think it's an unnatural fear to be afraid of something that's so tiny.
Well, no, I think it's the thing about it that cockroaches they proliferate in filth. They're always in the dark. They prefer the dark to the light. There's just a natural thing to them that they're disgusting. They're garbage. They're necessary for the ecosystem. Yes, all these creatures are, but if you've never been sitting in the dark like I have one time, because we're here in Texas, and Texas, there isn't a building in Texas that doesn't have roaches in it. But I have been sitting in the dark once, and on my computer, did it do like this, like that, and felt one tiny leg just touch the back of my neck because one had crawled up on it. I have had that happen.
Yep.
Fuck these motherfuckers. But I like that. That's what makes fantastic horror, whether it's cockroaches or it's spiders or sharks or snakes, whatever, heights. Yep. Just the regular things that people fear always makes for fantastic horror.
But I get snakes and sharks. Them motherfuckers can kill you. But cockroach, unless it has 2 little fire sticks, we're good.
What if the cockroach can start fires?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. You put a little black box in your house, and I do mean a little black box in your house. You don't have to worry about no cockroach anymore.
But bugs have always had a long history. We're pretty soon we're going to talk about another one that came out in the 50s.
Oh yeah.
But then you also had like what was it? There was another one, the praying mantis. You had Kingdom of the Spiders.
Yeah.
You had Squirm was another good one from the 70s.
Oh, was that the one with the worms?
The mutated worms, yeah. And then they like get into the guy and turn him into a worm man or some shit.
That was so bad. That movie was so bad.
It was bad, yes. It was another good one. I think was the title of the film is that's it. It's 7 S's with an exclamation mark. But obviously a snake horror. And then there was like I watched one the other day called Mosquito Man, which was fucking weird. Think of it like The Fly, but with a mosquito instead, and then he turns into a fucking humanoid mosquito that like with like this fucking javelin for proboscis, where he's just stabbing fucking people to death.
So does that mean he graduated law school? All right, so speaking of bugs, do bugs freak you out? No, I love bugs. Bugs are awesome. Or I want to kill, shoot them with a cannon like Eugene. Do let us know.
I'm doing my part.
Are you
doing my part? Would you like to know more?
A little Starship Troopers reference for you.
This is one of my favorite guilty pleasure movies of like all time.
So yes, as I mentioned, we do have this next film, another one where we're going kind of like into the bugs, but we're going a little bit different. Released June 19th, 1954. We have the nuclear monster horror Them.
Yeah.
I dig that. I dig this genre. While Them is not one of my favorites of the genre, I love the nuclear monster genre.
All the 50s, yeah.
Directed by Gordon Douglas and written by Ted Sherman and Russell Hughes, starring James Whitmore. Yes, James Whitmore from Shawshank Redemption.
Mm-hmm.
James Whitmore, Edmund Gwenn, Joan Weldon, and James Arness.
Nice.
Come on, guys. You guys know who that is, right? Fucking Marshall Mount Dillon?
Oh, yeah.
Gunsmoke?
Gunsmoke, yeah. Gunsmoke, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck yeah. And Them was the first of the 1950s nuclear monster films and was the very first big bug feature.
Mm-hmm.
When pretty much the summary for those who have not seen it, this is one of the older films. When a nest of gigantic irradiated ants is discovered in the New Mexico desert, New Mexico should mean something to you nuclear fans out there.
Mm-hmm.
They quickly become a national threat when it's discovered that the queens and their consorts have escaped to establish new nests around the country. And then it turns into a giant battle to try and save the world from these giant ants, from these giant irradiated ants. So a fantastic entry. I'm glad that I love this being the start of the nuclear genre, being 1954. We know what happened in the late 40s or in the 40s when which would inspire this, because obviously it would inspire other nuclear monsters like fucking Godzilla and shit. But this gave birth to the nuclear monster genre here in America.
Yeah, because at the time you have the world is changing because atomic power was still new. At that point. People knew it was super powerful and that it emitted radiation, but people didn't know long-term effects of it, or at least in terms of like the common person didn't know that. You also start getting new technology like microwaves are being introduced, and it's just this thing that nukes your food and suddenly warms up. And obviously horror horror filmmakers are going to take what is new and what is going on and starts transforming it. And that's why you start getting like the atomic horror movies, which usually has like a big creature, like this is giant ants, and obviously probably the most famous one being Godzilla or Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, or some of these others where it's like, what if radiation made something grow and then all of a sudden we have to fight it? And you get some actually good, pretty decent budget ones to some really bad ones. I saw one, it looked like a carpet, something like that. That was an atomic, or it was just a carpet that just ate people.
The Rug. I have no idea.
That's the notion. That's the notion. I think when it got out to the public, that while the extreme long-term effects of this, of radiation poisoning, or what nuclear power could do, or what nuclear radiation could do to things, that the word came out that it mutates things.
Yep.
That it mutates DNA. And when you just say it changes DNA, the sky's the limit.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And it's just mutate to what? Obviously, for some reason, things got bigger. You didn't really see much of things get smaller. You know, a smaller cockroach.
Yeah, right. Well, we're good with that. Smaller, okay, we're good with that. Unless they crawl in your ear. And if they crawl in your ear, then we're not good. But kind of piggybacking onto taking the things that are naturally frightening. I don't know why people think ants are naturally frightening. They only bite you whenever you step on them. But no, now you make them big, they can step on you and then bite your head off. Yeah, absolutely.
Or bite you in half. Yeah, when that ant's got the girl. Well, who was it that the ant grabbed?
Oh,
like that just that epic scene when she's like in his jaws and shit. I just fucking love that.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely plays on the fears of the unknown. I mean, absolutely, this movie, horror as a cautionary tale. I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here, but for certain, when we're talking about fears of the unknown, especially with technology, and we just dropped bombs on Japan a decade earlier, and we're starting to see, the aftermath of that, and like Eugene was talking about, with all the nuclear. Well, we're going to nuke our food and eat it, and then we're going to be molecularly changed. So, absolutely, definitely playing upon people's fears of the unknown.
Yeah, because at this time period, you not only had the atomic detonations over at Nagasaki and Hiroshima, but the U.S. was openly experimenting with nuclear detonations. The bombs are getting bigger, along with, because this is the Cold War in Russia, so you had like the Bikini Island or Bikini Atoll Island.
Bikini Atoll, yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely the beginning of the Cold War. Yeah.
And so everybody knows this testing is going on.
Yes.
And basically the governments are picking spots. Like they actually, with Bikini Atoll, they just moved the islanders off. Hey, we're going to seize your island. We're going to move them off and then drop a nuke on it.
Yep.
Yeah, because what Wes Craven did it as well. He took advantage of it with the radiated humans in The Hills Have Eyes. Because those mutated inbred cannibals were living in New Mexico, and it was the fallout that created the monsters out of that. So,
well, I mean, you see that theme, that nuclear theme throughout. I mean, The Hills Have Eyes. I mean, we talked about it briefly, talking about Night of the Living Dead was caused by some sort of nuclear fallout with a satellite or something that went out.
Oh yeah, it was some like radiation that came off of a satellite that had crashed. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So people, I mean, they really were frightened about what this shit was going to do to you.
And given the effect of, when it gets out to the public that, and I'm not trying to give a history lesson to our listeners, but when you know that our scientists, when they dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, did not know 100% what was going to happen.
Right.
That there were theories that they could detonate this bomb, and the particular one that they dropped, and it could ignite the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. The level of damage and destruction it caused was unprecedented.
Yes,
there was no scale to ascertain exactly what the fuck was going to happen.
Right.
So when you hear about scientists literally playing with fire that they cannot control, with unknown circumstances, unknown variables, and unknown consequences. And you do this, and then you have the effects that we then saw in Japan. It took them decades to completely rebuild, and they've never been the same since that happened.
Although they do make
we
the best.
irrevocably altered the course of that country by doing what we did. When you see the effects of this, you can apply the applicability of that to the horror genre. Obviously, works in so many different ways, and I also love it because it makes a villain out of government.
Yes,
the faceless entity that presides over all of us.
Yes, although I do have to say that it did give birth to that anti-science movement that we deal with on a daily basis there, JL.
Very true. Very true.
So they're a bunch of bastards.
They blew it all up.
It's their fault.
Damn you all to hell.
Damn dirty apes.
Yes. And that's another one. And see, that's another one that kind of plays off of that fear of the ultimate power, ultimate destruction.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because the human race is gone at that point.
Yep, and they killed them. They killed each other.
That's why honestly, I really dig. That's why I love the nuclear monster genre. Whether it's like Beast from 40,000 Fathoms?
Yep.
Just all stuff like that. Playing with that, and I honestly wish, because I was born in 1980, and I honestly wish that I had been able to to go to theaters and see these kinds of films firsthand, to see, and because at the time we weren't as educated as we are now, and while being highly educated, being a filmmaker, being aware of special effects and visual effects mediums, it does take a little bit of the kind of shine off of what you see, because you say, "Oh, I can see how they did that," or "Oh, that's really cool," but you know the technical aspects of the film, but being in 1954, being a part of the nuclear, the burgeoning nuclear family, and then this unknown science that they're playing with, nuclear power to them in the 1950s was as the Large Hadron Collider today.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even then, we're beginning to understand the Large Hadron Collider. So maybe planet colonization. Who knows?
Well, yeah. So if you look at like scary stuff that's going around there, a lot of it was very space oriented, even with like something as simple as Gravity or The Martian or Interstellar. I mean, there were some horror-ish elements in there, some scarier elements in there about the unknown. People take advantage of technology and use that in ways to kind of manipulate film, or film manipulates people's fear in that stuff in a way to make it entertaining. And
1954, correct me if I'm wrong. Like I said, I'm not a history buff, but this is on the eve or at the beginning of Korea?
This is after Korea.
Yeah,
I think Korea was 1950 1953.
Yeah, this was right after Korea and right before Vietnam.
Yeah. So we just been through. So we got nuclear Armageddon. We got nuclear scariness off of World War II. We just came out of Korea, which was a fucking insane.
Yes.
And tensions are ramping up to head to Vietnam.
Yep. Not to mention the fact that the Vietnam tensions that were ramping up were because of the Cold War tensions that were ramping up with fucking Russia and all.
With Russia.
And all that shit. So, yeah.
And then the arms race and the space race.
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of things. With so much uncertainty, it makes for fantastic. That's the only good thing. And I'm actually going to bring this around to today, is that the uncertainty of the 50s and the 60s, because there was this, I would say of the late 40s to the 70s, there was an era of uncertainty. America's constantly fighting overseas. We got soldiers dropping like flies in wars that are generally unpopular and unsupported. We have the shadowy communists. We have McCarthyism. We have the Red Scare. We've got all this fucking craziness. We have scientists doing shit that we don't fucking understand, and people are dying all over the place. And who knows if they're going to blow up the planet? And the government's not telling us anything. You have all of these things creating this overwhelming sense of uncertainty about the world, and from that was born multiple genres of horror films this uncertainty allowed people to play with that kind of terror. And I love, and I will say that it gave birth to that, and I'll bring this around today. The uncertainty that we live in today, the only good thing that will come out, one of the good things I hope will come out of this, is those who are creative will be able to generate new and more engaging art, hopefully cinema, that will grab people's attention and will give birth to maybe even new genres. Who knows?
Well, yeah, for certain.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at a country's culture through its art. What they produce, what is important to them, what message or what values are important to them.
Yep.
You always go to art on that. And art has always been something, like especially with film, where you actually can create characters that people care about, and then you can take your whatever issue you want to talk about, have it affect these characters, and also people go, "Oh, that's what it's like."
Right.
Yeah.
Not that is any bit of relevance for what's going on today at all.
Yeah, and I look forward to what it will generate.
Absolutely.
The young minds that are there today can take this uncertainty, just like the young minds of the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. You know, a young George Romero, who came up with Night of the Living Dead. A young Wes Craven, who came up with The Hills Have Eyes. And it's not who's going to be the next one, but who will come up with the next idea, born out of the uncertainty of 2020.
Well, so we've got what's his name? Oh God, from Key and Peele, Jordan Peele.
Oh yeah, Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
His filmmaking his horror films are fantastic.
Absolutely.
I really loved Get Out. Us, I loved until the credits rolled and I started thinking about it.
Really, you didn't like Us?
No, I loved Us. I loved watching it. It was engaging. It gripped me from the very start, and I loved all the way through. But once the credits started rolling, I was like, because I always go back and I think about the films that I watch. I watch them multiple times.
Oh yeah.
And I watched that movie. I was like, this is really fucking good. Oh my God, this is great. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, whoa, plot holes for days. I could just drive trucks through these plot holes.
Hey, stop stealing my name.
But I could.
Oh,
and
for sure.
while I still love it, visually, the film was amazing.
Right.
The cinematography, the whoever was behind the camera, just everything technically was beautifully done.
Yes.
Story wise, it kind of fell flat, especially after a freshman debut as Get Out.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
I am looking forward to Lovecraft Country or Lovecraft County.
Yeah,
which is a series coming to HBO, which he is behind, which is based on the novel. About this young black man searching for his father in Jim Crow era the South.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And encounters not only the hostilities of the South at the time, but also monsters from Lovecraft.
Well, that's fun.
Oh, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, the book is really good, and I've seen the trailer is on YouTube. You can definitely check it out. But Lovecraft County, that's produced by Jordan Peele. The guy's got vision.
Oh, he does.
I wouldn't expect the dude who's one of the church ladies on Key and Peele, or the local member of the gang. Yeah. I wouldn't expect that dude to be churning out the shit that he's churning out. But
you mean
he goes
Timothy?
to dark places.
You're talking about Timothy, right?
Present.
No, it's present.
I fucking love I fucking love the stuff that he's putting out. I really enjoy the Twilight Zone. I dig it.
Is he a part of the new Creep Show? I can't remember.
I don't know if he's producing it. Is he?
I don't know.
I have to check that out.
I'd have to check that out.
I thought I heard his name
because I know that's over on. Where's it? Is that over
on Shudder?
Spike?
It's on Shudder.
Shudder. That's it. Shudder.
Yeah.
That's right. And they just got a new season.
Shudder did?
No.
I'm kidding.
I did like the first one because we got to see Adrienne Barbeau come back and just horror staples. I love seeing them all together.
Yeah.
And then the bad beer one. So, but yeah, that brings us to going back to nuclear monsters. I want to ask the audience. What is your favorite nuclear monster? And any genre, any film, doesn't matter to me. Whether it's the American side, whether it's the anything out of Japan or China, there are many to choose from. Let us know. I'd love to hear what you think. weekinhorror@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your answers so we can read them out on the next episode.
Yes.
Let us know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have got one more awesome film to talk about. and Eugene's going to give it to us. Give it to us, Eugene.
Yes. One of my favorite films of all time. One of the best ever. Came out June 20th, 1975. And that is the original Jaws.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Dude.
Starring Roy Schneider? I know I'm ambitious.
Roy Scheider.
Yeah, Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw.
Dude, let him fail.
And Lorraine Gary, directed by the great Steven Spielberg. And basically, I'm assuming just about everybody who's ever seen a movie has seen this, but just in case you have never heard of Jaws, you have a shark that terrorizes a small town right before, I think it was July 4th weekend.
Yep.
Right before July 4th weekend, where they want to open up their beaches and have a huge celebration because it's a huge tourist day, but a shark likes eating people in the water.
Because he, doesn't want to take them on land.
Huh. Yeah. where have I heard that before? That opening early could be dangerous. No. There seems to be a parallel there. I don't know what it is.
You forgot probably the second biggest piece of involvement of Jaws with John Williams.
Oh yeah,
my goodness.
Yes, the iconic score.
And I want to give a shout because this was based off the book by Peter Benchley.
Yep. And
the novel Jaws by Peter Benchley, who also was brought on to co-write the screenplay.
Yep.
And he wrote that with Carl Gottlieb. And having the original author in always makes you always have a good shot at getting a very solid screenplay when the guy's adapting his own work.
Exactly. I mean, so Jaws in the 75? God bless America, that movie's old.
Don't remind me.
You want to talk about a film that did more for the film genre? I mean, this was the original summer blockbuster. Good God, everybody, you went to see this film in 1975. It killed the beaches for multiple reasons. People don't want to go swimming in the beach for the longest time, but they wanted to watch a film about a shark who ate people. What are you going to do?
They shot this budget for a budget of $9 million. Well, $9 million in 1975, and this fucker grossed $470 million.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, it was over budget. It wasn't supposed to cost $9 million. It was supposed to cost like 2 or 3, and it went mad. So the production of Jaws, they had a lot of issues with it. They were massively over budget, and the other directing opportunities that were lined up for Spielberg, they actually went to other people because they thought if Jaws flopped, that it would end Spielberg's career.
Little did they know.
Johnny, that fucking shark didn't work most of the time. From what I remember,
they had four or five different iterations of Bruce, and it always fucked up. It almost killed people, like legitimately almost electrocuted some people. Bruce was a bitch, and
that's why. When they wrapped it, and Spielberg and the editor Verna Fields, they're sitting there in post-production, and Verna turns to Spielberg and is like, "Your shark looks like shit. We can't show this." Spielberg's like, "No. We have to show the shark." She's like, "No, it looks like shit. People will laugh if you put it on the screen." And Spielberg was insistent on showing the shark. So Verna actually went straight to the studio over Spielberg's head. And the studio agreed with Verna.
Yeah.
And Verna cut out the shark. And then when it debuted, people were like, "We love the fact we don't see the shark." And Spielberg eventually apologized.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good idea to show the shark as little as possible because it made the shark much more frightening when you don't have a face to the killer. That makes you the viewer or you the consumer of the medium. You have to create the face, which makes it much more frightening.
Oh yeah, because, the nature of being attacked by a shark.
Just that in general. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah,
you don't see it coming. You're in the water. You get hit. Most of the times now, I've been in the water and I've seen sharks. My father had a scary incident. When he was living in Florida, he was out surfing when he was a teenager, and his surfboard got bumped by a shark. It's you don't see it coming.
Yeah,
And
so everybody who's ever go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was at that opening moment when the girl is out there skinny dipping, and it's not like boom and she's gone. It was that first hit, and just her reaction,
right,
is so visceral.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So two things that I'm going to riff on what you just said there. We talked to anybody who's ever been bit by a shark. They didn't know they were bitten by a shark until much later. They said, well, I just feel like I got, bumped into. It wasn't until I looked down and saw that I was fucking swimming in my own blood that I realized I got bit. And then Bruce was a little bitch, shouldn't play with his food. That's all I'm saying.
I did hear, I think it was in the behind the scenes, they were talking about part of the production that they had the production company had set up loudspeakers around the island where they were shooting. And I think they were shooting off Martha's Vineyard.
I think so. Yeah.
And so they had set along the beach, they had set up loudspeakers because the shark was so problematic that when they were trying to get it work, that all the actors would just fucking stand around doing nothing. But it's the beach. They're there at the beach, like that. So people would just, they'd grab their chairs, they'd lay out, they'd be chilling on the beach. And they had loudspeakers set up to announce to everybody who wasn't working on the shark. It was like, attention, the shark is not working. The shark is not working. Stay with, stay around, or further news coming in until eventually everyone would get excited because you'd hear it come over the loudspeaker. Attention, the shark is working. Report to set immediately.
Oh man, that bastard Bruce.
That had to be a lot of fun, and of course, nobody can anticipate. Obviously, nobody can anticipate the blockbuster that it became, and the fact that Spielberg, without intention, had basically invented the summer tentpole.
Oh yeah,
where the studios would go for that summer tentpole film in order to take them from you basically, because we know that we've spoken before on this podcast about the kind of, there's two dead zones, two kind of dead periods. Oh god, I've forgotten the term for it. Eugene, remind me.
They're not the shelf film.
It's that time in February and then the time in September.
Yeah, it's like dump season, something like that.
That was dump season. I can't believe I blanked on that. But the summer tentpole is what gets you going through the next dump season. And then you have your winter catalog, but you need to get through the dump seasons because the dump seasons are several months long when nothing really performs. So if you come out of a dump season and you don't have shit to tentpole you to the next dump season, that next dump season could kill your production company. And Spielberg himself invented the summer tentpole, and that has been standard throughout. But of course, how this film affected real life, because obviously, just when you thought, people wouldn't go to the beach, especially when they found out that it was based on an actual occurrence.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it killed some beach, especially in oh god. It happens. This is about the time that it happens to me where my brain turns to mush. Where the hell was this film? God, I can't think of the area that it's supposed to be based in. Golly.
Oh, I can't.
It actually
like
took
Florida
place
or something like that, right?
No.
Oh, Amity Island. It was Amity Island was designed to be kind of like a Martha's Vineyard type place.
Well, yeah, but I thought it was supposed to took place in. It was Amity Island was supposed to be in South Carolina, right?
Was it South Carolina?
I think so. Beaches in South Carolina. I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
Let's see here. Yeah. It's supposed to be based off beaches in South Carolina.
South Carolina, okay.
And they did see that, if I remember correctly, they did see a massive decline in beachgoers that summer because people were scared.
Yeah, because for the most part, sharks don't really attack people very often. Shark attacks are rare. And you have millions upon millions of people who go to the beach and have just no issue at all whatsoever because sharks really don't like people.
Yeah.
But just this movie alone, people are like, "Well, I don't risk it. A shark can't bite me if I'm not in the water."
See, there's never been a truer statement. Okay. If I don't go swimming where sharks could be, I'm not going to get bit by a shark.
Because it is that fear, though. When you're in the water, the shark has every advantage.
Yep.
It is faster than you. It can smell you, and it can smell you over across a long distance too.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to swim faster than a shark. You're just not. It's just more agile. It's faster. It's a creature that hasn't changed in like 600 million years.
Yeah. Unless you're Thomas Jane. If you're Thomas Jane, then you can outswim a shark.
Yeah, unless you're Thomas Jane.
Or LL Cool J, who'd already been bitten.
Jaws definitely goes into the realm of those unique horror movies that had a profound effect on pretty much the way people live their lives. I would say films that made you afraid to go camping, like Friday the 13th.
Yep.
Being out there in the woods, or a movie like obviously Jaws. People afraid to go to the beach. Things that made you afraid of things that you took for granted.
Yep.
I really, really like those, and the ripple effects that they have across the board. It's always so much fun to see, to try and predict whose stock is going to tank, given the effect of a horror film.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it shows you the power of cinema, like just as a whole, where you have one movie that can tank an entire industry.
Yep.
Like that's powerful. That is extremely powerful.
It's either
use your art responsibly.
Well, yeah, so it's either powerful or people are just stupid. One of the two.
Either way, it's powerful. It's just easier to be powerful than stupid. I'm
kidding. Yeah, it's definitely with the way that with good storytelling, right? Jaws tells you that good storytelling can overcome a shitty looking shark, bad production, or not bad production, but a difficult production. Good storytelling can overcome all that and still produce a very effective film.
And well, we've talked about it before with Spielberg. Is one of the things Spielberg has always been good at is crafting good characters. Because we talked about with Poltergeist, I think a couple of episodes ago. Even though Tobe Hooper directed it, we all know Spielberg directed
it. Yeah.
Yeah, but Spielberg creates great, complex characters that you root for, because even the boat owner who was crazy and by all sense, like, okay, I'm not really supposed to like this guy, but then you end up kind of liking him anyway, because he's done some questionable things, but he wasn't a bad guy.
You're talking about Robert Shaw's Quint, right?
Quint.
Yeah, Quint.
I love the fact that during the drinking scene, when they were all just chatting on the boat at night,
yep,
that he was 3 sheets to the fucking wind.
Oh yeah,
that he legit got drunk off his ass.
Yeah, that wasn't acting.
Well, Robert Shaw's a fucking legend, but the combination of the three, of Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, obviously, coming off of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, or the thing that would be after. Yeah, he would later use him in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Right.
But Richard Dreyfuss, legendary actor. Roy Scheider, also fantastic. And then, of course, legendary Robert Shaw. And basically letting these three guys put them in a small space, give them a giant shark to hunt, and just letting them go wild. The one fisherman and the one marine biologist and the guy who has no fucking business being on the water.
Yeah. And see, there you go. And that's what good storytelling does, right? So good storytelling, and when you create characters that people give a shit about, it lets you overlook why the fuck is he there? Like, why the fuck did Ripley go back? Well, they didn't need her. She could have done everything. She told him everything she could tell him. She didn't need to go back, but we're invested in these characters. That's what good storytelling does.
Yeah, that's true. That is. And now, obviously, this spawned a franchise, and there's actually quite a few Jaws movies that came out, because you get a blockbuster, of course they're going to make sequels.
Right.
And actually, I want to ask the audience, what is your favorite Jaws entry? I know personally mine is the first one, but the second one is good also.
I actually like the second one better than the first. I loved because of the characterization. I loved Roy Scheider, even though Roy Scheider only returned for the second one because of a contract dispute to settle a contract dispute with Universal. He still gave his all, like a total fucking professional. And I loved he's in the shit again. So it was kind of like it was kind of like Die Hard 2. You know, it's like, God damn it, another fucking giant shark. But I killed the last one. I'm gonna fucking kill this one, especially now that my kid's involved. So
I'm just surprised they didn't have one with like a machine gun.
I love the fact that I loved that was the best part. Even though the effects still weren't fantastic of the giant shark, the scene where they set it on fire and then it comes up there and then gets electrocuted on the cable on the underwater electrical cable.
Yep.
That shit was fantastic. That was inspired. I love that.
My favorite is Jaws 3D.
I want to look like sharks coming at me.
Yep. Oh man. So we're over here having a good time and you guys give me this wonderful in memoriam. Oh my God. See what happens when your brain turns to mush? You can't say the word.
We do have a couple of things that we're going to look back on. And yeah, we are kicking off with an in memoriam.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. In memoriam. Herschel Gordon Lewis, born June 15th, 1929, and left us September 26th of 2016. Now, this guy, if you enjoy the splatter genre of horror film or exploitation film, this is the reason why.
Yeah, he is a legend in hitting that late 60s, early 70s films that just took that genre and he just ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think there was the best quote I heard that summed up pretty much what he does. That Gordon Lewis was a pioneer who went farther than anyone else dared.
Oh yeah,
probing the depths of disgust and discomfort on screen with more bad taste and imagination than anyone of his era. The cat worked in exploitation films, in juvenile delinquent films, nudie cuties, you name it. It was anything he could do to push the limits of what audience accepted at the time.
Oh yeah,
we wouldn't have a Cronenberg if it wasn't for Gordon Lewis.
Well, so many. I mean, just think of any exploitation type film, blood and guts. Slasher genre wouldn't be what it is today without his influence.
Yep,
absolutely. Because one of the things about the slasher genre, what do we want? We want the kills.
Yeah, we want the blood and the kills, and then Friday the 13th went and just didn't do it. There was a lot of off screen and no blood. What the hell?
He really, he blew people's minds. It was what year was it? Was it 63 that he came with Blood Feast?
Yeah, 63.
And that just the level of gore in that just blew people's minds.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Good Lord, I want to know what the blood budget was.
more than Wes Craven spent on Nightmare on Elm Street.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's saying something because there was a vomiting blood bed. So,
but just looking at the stuff that you can tell with movies like The Wizard of Gore, and his Blood Feast series, Blood Feast and Blood Feast 2, All You Can Eat, which came out years later. There was some stuff that he did. He even did a porno, Black Love.
So yeah, I was going to say that he went from porn to children's films to just buckets of blood.
In all of these films, you can tell anything in there. You can see where the ones that like individuals like Fulci or Cronenberg or even Cunningham or Carpenter. You can see the things that they took, the inspirations throughout. You go back and watch his old filmography. So all the craziness that he put out there, little tidbits that inspired or informed the filmmakers that would come after him. You can see, I see where he got that inspiration came from. It's amazing to see the widespread effect that he had on the entire industry.
Yeah, because this was right before the video nasty era.
Mm-hmm.
So you have all those directors who, as they're learning filmmaking, were watching his films, Blast Off Girls, How to Make a Doll, and just, all right, I see where he's going. I understand why I like this, and then I want to carry it forward.
I gotta give a personal shout out to his 63 film Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
Yeah, spelled. I was actually just looking at that one.
It has nothing to our listeners. It has nothing to do with the fairy tale.
Nope.
And is pretty much the first nudist musical.
Yep. Three Bears spelled
the fucking places that this guy's mind
B-A-R-E-S.
went. Oh, you could do. Clive Barker ate this guy's, everything he put up. You could see it. You could see it in Clive Barker's work, both his novels and his movies.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going to go with this. That one of my favorite horror film series being Hellraiser. Clive Barker, you can tell that he took a lot of this exploitation style. I mean, just look at the fucking Hellraiser. Look at the Cenobites. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But definitely, we wouldn't have many of the things that we have today. Things that he, like the absolute craziness that he brought. Very similar to, there was another guy. I remember his first name. Jess. He was a Spanish director who kind of did the same thing. Exploitation films, a bit of pornography. Good Lord, Jess. Something I can't remember his last name. I'll remember it eventually. But he was also. I see kind of a parallel between the two of their careers, although Lewis came before him. But the fact that we wouldn't have any of the righteous, everything from Friday the 13th to Event Horizon, we wouldn't have it if it weren't for Herschel Gordon Lewis.
Right. Well,
definitely.
I'm gonna debate you on Event Horizon one of these days and how it's not as bloody as people think it is.
Well, okay, I'll be able to talk about that. I hope one day to see the Anderson cut of that film.
So, in fairness, Anderson said that what did he say about the final cut? That it wasn't his cut, but it wasn't far off from his cut.
Yeah, he said there was just a little bit more exposition and a bit more gore.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd still like to see it.
Yeah, once again,
sure.
One of those things with the studio kind of fiddling with shit. But obviously, we wouldn't have any of this stuff without Herschel Gordon Lewis. So we wanted to pay some special respects to the guy who, the visionary.
You're talking about Jesus Franco?
Yeah, that's it. Yes, Jesus Franco. He went by Jess.
Yeah. You know why he went by Jess? Because we were whitewashing everything.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, we wanted to pay special tribute to Herschel Gordon Lewis, who's the genius debauchery of that man's mind.
Yes,
brought us pretty much the horror genre that we eat up every single day here at Weekend Horror. So rest in peace, Herschel. We miss you.
Rest in peace, Herschel.
And we've got one birthday. And reason I picked this guy is because our previous special guest, Cassie Shea Watson, she got her start working on a Patrick Melton film. And that was Feast 2, which was the second one in that series. But that was written by Patrick Melton, born June 18th, 1975. I have followed his career since the Greenlight. This is the Greenlight project on HBO.
Greenlight, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was this one on HBO, or was this when they moved? This was the last one on HBO, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. And then it kicked off, and then he was able to get Feast produced under Project Greenlight, which was Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. They were putting that forward. The winner of that would get like $1 million to make a movie. That's how they made Feast, and then that spawned a trilogy. And our previous special guest was in the second one of that.
Oh.
But he's gone from there, from basically a reality show winner, to make his first movie, to an incredible. An incredible career so far. Him and his writing partner Marcus Dunstan. I mean, they became some of the minds. They were behind Saw 6 and Saw 7, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, they created The Collector.
4, 5, and 6, and then 3D.
4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, 6, and 3D actually.
Okay, and 7. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
My goodness, that guy did Jesus Christ. He was busy for a while. He had a good gig.
Yeah, the things that they've worked, the My Bloody Valentine 3D, the Piranha 3D, a remake of Hellraiser, and The Tingler.
Wait a minute. He was part of the remake of Hellraiser?
Yeah.
Well, that's points in the wrong direction.
They're good writers, and I've seen what they put together. And
which
really
one?
Good. They're currently working on a remake of Scanners and a film adaptation of The Outer Limits as well.
Man, remaking Scanners is dangerous.
That is dangerous, but I would like to. I mean, it could be updated as long as they pay legitimate homage to the original stuff. Don't do like. Oh no, I really can't bring that up because Ridley Scott directed both.
What are we talking about?
I was thinking about Blade Runner because it was like Ridley Scott directed Blade Runner and it was brilliant, but then he also directed Blade Runner 2049.
No, Ridley Scott didn't direct Blade Runner 2049.
He produced it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dennis Villeneuve directed.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
That's okay. Thank God because there was a disconnect between the first one and the second one. So
yeah, 80 was it 20 years, 30 years? That's your disconnect. I mean, the people, everybody was shocked when the movie tanked. I don't understand why. The first one tanked. It was a cult classic.
It's really good.
I agree. I love the film.
It may take time.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, the first one tanked, and obviously, if you wait that long and you're banking on the novelty of having Harrison Ford in your film, okay, I guess it worked for Star Wars.
Yeah, but predominantly, Patrick Melton has worked as a writer. Is one of the coolest ones I've come across. I love most of his work, pretty much all of his work. I've really dug it. From everything from the original Feast back in 2005 all the way up to the collection in 2012. I like the Collector series. I can't wait for the third one to come out. I think that's coming out next year or this year. We're going to get the Collector 3.
Yeah,
it's the Saw franchise. So,
and he did writing work with Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
That's right, he did.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's him writing with Del Toro producing.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is his career is moving in the right direction. When you go from Project Greenlight, then you get your own trilogy. You get to be able to work on the Saw franchise, which we all know is a huge franchise, and then he's creating another franchise with the Collector. I mean, he's gone in the right direction.
Yes, he is,
and that's awesome. We love.
It seems like he and James Wan both kind of came out of that late '90s, early 2000s, and just kind of blew up.
Yeah, it's kind of like there was a pair. There was Lee Whannell,
and James Wan. Yeah.
Yep, and then Marcus Dunstan and Patrick Melton.
Yep.
See, this is what's really, really cool. What I really, really like is teams is working as partnerships.
Yeah,
and
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say it's surprising that Project Greenlight went with another kind of duo, because even though I don't think it was they both were selected in Project Greenlight, right? It was both of them, wasn't it? Or was it just Patrick?
I think he wrote it. It was directed by John Gulager.
Right. Okay. So I used to watch that project. I saw the first one that they did that was really shitty, and then the second one with the Battle of Shaker Heights, which was equally as shitty. But they did a duo thing, a double director and a writer kind of thing. They did, and it was just it went horribly bad. I didn't think they were going to pick another duo team of directors.
No, this one I think it was a single director but dual writers.
Right.
So Marcus and Patrick wrote it, and it was solely directed by John Gulager and produced by Michael Lee.
But whatever it takes to get your foot in the door.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's all it takes is you get that one project out there, you get your name out there, and then now he's entrenched in horror.
And I can't wait to see what he has coming next. They got a ton of ideas that are coming up. These guys are highly sought after, especially Patrick. I, for one, am looking forward to the Collector 3. I don't know where they're going to go with that after the ending of the collection. So that should be a lot of fun. But yes, definitely up and rising a rising star. Happy birthday, Patrick Melton.
Happy birthday, Patrick.
Yeah.
All right.
And many
I want to
more.
give a huge thank you again to Johnny O for guest hosting with us tonight.
Oh, for certain. It was a lot of fun. You guys are awesome. Much love.
Where can our listeners find your stuff?
You actually can find me several places. You can get onto rockmetaltalk.com every Friday night, 8 to 11 Central, and hear me just go on about God knows what with God knows who. Every now and again, we'll have special guests on like JL Warren. Eugene's too good for us, so he doesn't come on. He's like, oh, I'm not doing that stupid show.
I've done one.
we do have our special project.
And we so we do have the Master Debaters Best in series where we debate. We'll take your favorite horror film franchise and debate which entry was the best. And June 20th, we've got the Scream franchise coming up. That's going to be fun. Eugene, you're going to be on for that one too, right? You're taking up number 2.
I'm taking number 1.
Number 1. JL, you're taking number 2.
I'm taking Scream 2. Yep.
JL's always taking number 2.
Big number 2. I'm big on number 2.
Big on number 2. And then you can also find us on the old YouTubes where I post commentary videos about all kinds of shit. The most recent one that I did was I had to do like a wish feed thing. When you're a content creator and you look up all the stupid shit that we look up, your wish feed gets jacked up. Mine got really jacked up. So go check that video out. I think it's pretty fun. It was a lot of fun. I also did one about allegedly Dave, who does not allegedly drink his pee. He just does drink his pee. So go check that one out too. I'm gonna try and have another one out. Top 10 dumbest things that flat earthers say. Trying to put that out. Well, by the time you hear this, it'll already be out. So hopefully you've seen it. But yeah,
cool.
That's where you get me.
All right.
Well, we definitely look forward to that stuff. Johnny, thank you so much for coming out and being a part of this and picking up the slack for our loser co-host, Alex.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Well, somebody has to have a birthday and go on vacation.
I fuck around. Happy birthday, Alex. We miss you, dude. We can't wait for you to be back. And of course, I'm going to whoop your fucking ass in the next Bloodbath debate.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
Or I'm going to try.
So yes, thank you once again, Johnny O, for stepping in, right? And we also would like to thank the listeners, right? Thank you so much for listening. We wouldn't be able to do this without you, so we greatly appreciate it. If you like more information, why don't you check out our website of weekendhorror.net? Right there, you can email us. We like feedback, comments, questions. You can be like, hey, your podcast is awesome, or I hate your podcast. Either way, please email us, talk to us, comment us, let us know how you're doing out there. You can also email us at weekendhorror@gmail.com. And let's say you really like our podcast, why don't you check out our Patreon page, right? If you go to patreon.com/weekendhorror, you'll have early access to our bloodbaths, where we take 2 horror icons and we put them in a battle to the death, which I think this upcoming one is Jigsaw versus the Collector. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be very, very good. You're going to want to check that out. And then also we have our After Dark, which we have our monthly guest come on, and we sit and chat with them for about 45 minutes on what is the state of horror and how they feel about the genre and stuff like that. You get some inside info. So if you want that first, check out our Patreon page /Weekend Horror. Also, check us out on Facebook, Twitter. We do our daily splatter. And this is, you get a little bit of horror knowledge every single day. And also, check out our YouTube channel. Yes, our YouTube channel. Just straight Weekend Horror, where we will be posting our podcasts there. You can also check out our podcast at regular places also, such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play. But we're also on YouTube, so you can go ahead, you can check that out. We got a nice trailer there that you can watch.
Yep, I'm JL.
And I'm Eugene.
I'm Johnny O from the Plot Hole.
And we will see you next week. And as always, stay scared.